Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Hope you are doing well. Very warm welcome after summer vacations. And this is our English book. Please open your books. Here is the contents of this book. So far, before vacations, we have read our lesson number 1, Dorothy Meets the Scarecrow, and one of our poem, Robin. Today we are going to start our lesson number 2, The Wooden Ball, on page number 14. Please keep your pencils in your hands and be attentive and listen. Basically, The Wooden Ball is a story, actually a great story, having deep message in it. The theme of this story is all about care and love. This story is telling us about respecting and caring and loving our parents. Okay? So, listen this story attentively. This story tells us about some moral values that you reap what you sow. And regardless of your relationship with your parents, you will miss them when they are gone from your life. So, the basic theme of this story is always respect and care for your parents. In this story, an old man went to live with his son and daughter-in-law and their 4-year-old grandson. So, the story revolves around 4 characters. Okay? Keep in your mind. So, further what happened in the story, the old man actually was growing old and old every day, and his hands trembled, his eyesight was blurred, and the grandfather's hands shake, and he always spilled milk and everything or soup on the tablecloth. So the son and daughter-in-law, they were becoming very irritating over the mess. What measures they applied for the old man, we will read further in the story. Okay? So, here we are going to start reading. Once upon a time, in a small town in Germany, there lived a man called Kurt. What was the name of that man? Kurt. He lived with his son Manfred and his daughter-in-law Thekla. So Kurt was basically the name of that old man, grandfather, okay? They all shared a little old house at the end of a quiet street in the middle of the town. Where do they live? They lived in a small house in Germany, in a small town of Germany. Manfred was a carpenter and spent all his time in a workshop next to his house. Who was Manfred by profession? He was a carpenter. A carpenter is a person who, you can say, involves in the activity of making or repairing things in woods, right? So, all his time in a workshop next to the house. Underline the word workshop. What is the meaning of workshop? Workshop is basically, you can say, a room or building in which goods are manufactured or repaired. And what do they manufacture or what do they repair there? Wood. He had learned carpentry from his father, who had been a famous carpenter in his days. And who was his father? Kurt was his father. From where did he learn the carpentry? Carpentry is the activity or the art of the making or repairing the things with woods, right? Kurt had taught his son well, and the son earned a good living. He made furniture for the people of the town, and from time to time he did some carving. Carving means, underline the word carving. Carving means to carve objects or design or figures with wood. In this paragraph so far, we have read about their profession, which is carpentry, and we have learned that Manfred did learn all that art from his father Kurt. Okay, and that was their profession, and they were earning their living through this profession. They were selling their goods, their furniture to the people of town, right? The young couple, Manfred and Thekla. Who was Thekla? She was the daughter-in-law of that old man. Had a son called Wilhelm. What was the name of their son? Wilhelm. The boy liked to sit in the workshop and watch his father as he grew older. What was the activity of the boy? They are mentioning here that he was very keen. He shows his keen observation while his father was working in that workshop. As he grew older, who grew older? He helped his father by fetching and carrying things. Who is helping? And who is getting older here? Obviously, here they are talking about Manfred. And they are talking about Wilhelm. That Wilhelm is trying to help his father by fetching. Underline the word fetching. Fetching means to go after and bring back something or somebody. And carrying things. He learned to clean the tools and to take care of them. He learned how to use a saw and a hammer and a chisel. Underline chisel, hammer and saw. They are all the equipments. They are the tools. You can say they are the metal tools used to cut and shape wood. Chisel is a metal tool used to cut and shape wood. Saw and hammer are also the tools they are using for making or carving wood. And his grandfather taught him to carve wood into wonderful shapes. The whole paragraph so far we have read is all about Wilhelm. He is the one who is helping and he is observing and watching his father doing his work, and he is helping him, and this way he is learning the art of carving wood. The grandfather was very old now and getting older every day. He was not very strong, his eyes were dim and he couldn't see well. Underline the word dim. Dim means his eyes were blurred. He couldn't see well. Sometimes his hands shook. Underline the word shook. Shook is the second form of shake. And sometimes he sat in a chair and nodded off. Underline the word nodded off. It means fall asleep, especially while sitting. Students, did you ever observe any of your grandparent when they're getting older that they cannot wash the things properly, they cannot sometimes walk properly, and the thing they have mentioned here that their hands used to shake and they are nodding off while sitting. Did you observe? Yes? We all have observed the people like this in our lives, especially our grandparents. Especially when they get older, they face such kind of difficulties in life, right? In the evenings, when they all sat down to dinner at the table, Manfred and Thekla used to get angry with the old grandfather. Why? Why they get angry with the old grandfather? Because he was slow and clumsy. Underline the word clumsy. Clumsy means awkward in movement and handling things. He was not as active as any young man can be. He was old and he was clumsy. Sometimes he broke a glass, sometimes he dropped a spoon, and sometimes he split soup on his clothes. He was an old man after all. Students, in this whole paragraph, they have mentioned that how poor was the life of Mr. Kurt. Who was Kurt? He was the grandfather of Wilhelm. He was the father of Manfred. And as he was growing old, it was not in his control. These all things were happening with him, but he was unable to control them because he was old after all. So what happened? He was slow and clumsy. So sometimes he dropped a spoon, sometimes he spilled a soup on his clothes. So these all things were making Thekla and Manfred irritating because they were young, they were not facing such problems. So far, students, let me know, do you feel some pain for the old man in your heart? Do you? Just think for a while. Just imagine your own grandparents at the place of Kurt. Really, then you will feel that how poor was the life of Kurt. I personally feeling very bad for the old man because it was not in his control, isn't it? It was not in his control. He was not a young man. It was all by nature. When we get older, our hands, our eyes, our movements, all the things get affected, isn't it? One day during the evening meal, the old man dropped his plate on the floor. And what happened? Crash. It smashed. Underline the word smashed. Smashed means badly broken or shattered into 100 tiny pieces. And the food fell all over the place. Thekla and Manfred began to clean up the floor, but how angry they were. They were so angry. They might be yelling at the old man, definitely. After that accident, they bought him a cheap wooden ball from the market and gave him his dinner in that. They made the old man sit by himself in the corner in the room to eat his food. So this was, you can say, a kind of punishment they have decided for the old man, that they have bought a wooden bowl for him and they separated him from themselves. They selected or specify his place of sitting. Please mention today's date here. So far, what we have read in the story, do you feel bad for the old man? Don't you think that this is bad for him? The behavior of Thekla and Manfred is not good for him. Inshallah, tomorrow when we will proceeding our lesson, we will come to the conclusion. Think about it. Think about the old man. Think about his merciful life. Imagine your own grandparents at the place of Kurt. Then you will feel your heart for Kurt. Then we will come to a better conclusion at the end of the story, right? Until then, stay blessed and goodbye.